Okay, everyone, the time is now 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this session of the Bridgewater Town Council meeting to order. Can everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. Just as a reminder, the Town Council meeting is being streamed live via YouTube. Please go to the Town of Bridgewater Facebook page to find the link at home. To start off, we have, unfortunately, a number of veterans who have passed away recently. I'd like to let the public know about. The first one I'd like to mention is Joshua Mahoney, who served in the U.S. Marine Corps and was in the War on Terror. He passed away on September 28th. Robert King served in the U.S. Marine Corps and during the Vietnam era. He passed away on October 2nd. Walter Nardi served in the U.S. Navy, passed away October 13th. Victor Bailey served in the U.S. Army and Vietnam, passed away on October 13th. John Boudreau served in the U.S. Army and served in the Gulf War and Desert Storm, passed away on October 19th. Walter Spencer served in the U.S. Army and was a World War II veteran, passed away on October 26th. John Valentine served in the U.S. Marine Corps and in the Vietnam era, passed away on October 28th. Patrick Walsh served in the U.S. Army in Vietnam, passed away on October 30th. Can I have a moment of silence for all these veterans that passed, and obviously in the wake of Veterans Day, all other veterans that have passed that served our country bravely. Thank you. First thing up are the approval of minutes from our prior meeting on October 15th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. McKinnon, second by Mr. Chase. Any discussion on the notes at all? Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes, I thought that Haley Basowitz had been appointed to something. I didn't see her appointment in the minutes.
I don't know if that was the last meeting. It might have been a prior meeting to that. Do you have that? The appointment of Haley Basowitz? I don't know if that was the last meeting.
It was.
Was it on that
Two
There
cultural
were two
council.
appointments, and I only see one in the
And then I
minutes,
think
but
it
whatever.
might have been a third.
That was a while ago.
I don't feel like it was the last one.
No, I think that was 2 ago.
You think it was 2 ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe
Well,
that was a couple of meetings.
2 meetings ago, not
Yeah.
a month ago, because that was our last meeting.
And October 15th was our last meeting, so I don't believe. Do you have the quick check on those last meetings to see when that was posted?
Derek was the last meeting. He was the only appointment at the last meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
It was
Okay.
2 meetings.
thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions on those minutes? Seeing none, I need a roll call vote on those, please.
Roll call.
Why roll call?
Because we don't, oh, I'm sorry, we don't, because, yeah, we can. And then a voice vote, yes, thank you. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved, thank you. That's it. Ms. Striggles was going to be online with us tonight. Announcements from the president. I don't have anything this evening, and I do not have any proclamations this evening. So we will move to Citizens Open Forum. Again, due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during the public comment period. If appropriate, responses to questions and concerns will be given by the town manager at a future town council meeting. I would remind everyone to please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your remarks to 3 minutes or less. Please come forward.
Tim Fitzgibbon, South Drive. I come up here for three purposes, so I'll try to keep each one to a minute. The first is to make an ask of you. In front of you tonight is a letter from the school committee to rename the Bridgewater Mitchell School to the Edward J. O'Donoghue School for all the reasons stated in the letter and the request the school committee made. I think you should do it. It's essentially already been done 20-plus years ago by the school committee. This would just be an act of the council to memorialize what was done 20-plus years ago. And I just request that you keep this at the committee level and bring it back to your next meeting to act on. I also come today as a school committee member. I am not speaking for the school committee, just for myself, but as a school committee member. We got our Chapter 70 inflation increase recently, and it's 2%, that they expect Chapter 70, which is our main state aid, to go up upon the generous, very, very generous 1% the state gave us last year. I don't know about you, but inflation in my household hasn't been 1% to 2% in the last couple of years. So we're going to need something significantly more than 3% this year. I know the superintendent will be reaching out to the president and to the town manager, looking to meet sooner rather than later to discuss this situation. So I just wanted to keep you apprised of that. And then finally, a thank you to Ms. Robinson. I know this is your last meeting, Ms. Robinson, for the moment. We're not going to say goodbye, we'll just say so long. And, you know, she's been a wonderful public servant, and one of those people that you're able to go hammer and tongs with on an issue, and then, you know, shake hands at the end of it and say, I understood what you said, you understood what I said. Maybe we came to a little bit of an agreement, maybe we still disagree, but guess what? We can do it again. And that's what I wish more of us would learn. And so you'll be missed in the time that you're gone, but I'm sure you'll be back. I'm hoping that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgibbons. Anybody else like to come up and speak?
Hello, my name is Cornelius Bates. I live on Meadow Lane. I'm here today to talk about my Eagle Scout project. I am currently part of Boy Scout Troop 88, and currently I'm a senior at BR. For my project, I chose to redo the score shed at the seniors field at Legion Field, where I played baseball for the past 10 years. In those 10 years, I've had the privilege of calling Bridgewater Little League my home, and I've had opportunities to learn, grow, and make lifelong friends. And through this Eagle Scout project, it's helped me feel grateful to be able to give back to my community. And so far, I've raised almost about half the money I need. I still need about $4,000, but to raise the money, I've had a bake sale on the opening day of the baseball season and sold items at the 50th anniversary held at Abington Dog Park. And this past 2 weekends ago, I collected over 6,000 cans from the Bridgewater community, and I've been going to local businesses such as Prisco's, Drew's Trucking, Solid State Marine, Soul Focus Coaching and Wellness, and asked them for donations. I am sure with more donations from the community, I will be able to finish my project by the middle of December. Thank you.
Thank you very much for speaking. Anybody else like to come up and speak? Mr. Baumgarten, come on up.
This is getting bigger than I am. Sam Baumgarten, 60 Short Street. Good evening, counselors. I have two items. First, a word about flags and flagpoles. I think we're spending too much time on them, and it would be quite easy to satisfy everyone, I think. We have two prominent flagpoles centrally located. The one in front of the Academy building, the one at the south end of the common near the war memorials. As long as the POW MIA flag is flying full-time, I don't see what difference it makes which pole it's on. The poles both have good visibility. But whichever pole is used for the one flag, that leaves the other flag, the other pole, on which the Pride and Juneteenth flags should fly during the month of June. Bridgewater should maintain its status as a welcoming community by continuing this 4-year tradition of raising those flags in June in recognition of groups that are still marginalized and discriminated against. I look forward to your discussion tonight, but I hope it will be brief and you can just decide one pole or the other, and let's move on with it. And I'd be happy to serve on a committee if you want to talk about it some more to solve it. Second thing is, many of you are aware that or many of you may be not aware, for 14 years, I have conducted a Bridgewater community dance program. Miss Ellenberg has actually come to a few herself. Thank you.
It was totally fun.
And I decided to take this opportunity to pass out some flyers about a Saturday night special we're having this Saturday, and also some postcards which describe the program for this past fall. And you may think these two items I talked about are disparate, but they're not, because if you come to the dance floor and hold hands with other people, including your opposition, it changes everything. So I hope you'll come.
Thank you, Sam. Anybody else like to come up and speak?
That assumes you can dance.
My name is Lisa Bazell Curley, and I live at 91 Atkinson Drive. Improvement. I remembered last time I forgot. So, and while I do tend to agree with him somewhat that this flag issue is probably taking up a lot of people's time, I think that that shows you how important it is to many people. The flag stands for all the men and women and their families that have sacrificed so much so that we can fly whatever flag we want in front of our homes and businesses. It reminds us that we all have Americans that still haven't come home. It was because of these men and women that our American flag means so much and carries so much weight. The weight of strength, valor, purity, innocence, diligence, perseverance, and justice. Without the courage and valor of the men and women who have fought for it, we wouldn't live in the country and enjoy the freedoms that we have. And to show the families of those that never came home that they are remembered and respected should be something that we do every day. And in my opinion, that flag should be under the POW flag should be under every American flag on every town building and every state building. And Mr. Perry, you actually brought up a good point, and I appreciate and thank you for remembering the veterans that we've lost, especially my dad died 45 years ago yesterday on Veterans Day. But you read their names, and they're never going to know that you appreciated them enough to do that. But their families and friends, for the POWs and the MIAs, they are going to know that every day when they drive by a flag, that this country still remembers the sacrifices that I'm sorry, I'm getting a little nervous, but the sacrifices that they have given. And I think that when we remember them when they're gone, it's too late. We have to let them know while they're still alive that they're appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Spitta?
Scott Pitta, Pine Street. I've just shown you 4 flags without saying a word. You know the meanings of those flags. You know the sentiment of the groups that fly those flags, whether they be righteous in promoting equality or fighting to justify, to correct decades of injustice, or they be despicable, hateful groups. You knew the meetings without a single word. Those flags are speech. The issue before you with the flags is not the issue that is being debated here. The issue of what flag to fly, when we can fly it, when these groups come forward and say we want our flag flown, has already been decided. In May of 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court decided for the country that you as a city council, under the town of Bridgewater's ordinances as they stand, you do not have the discretion to choose. If a group comes forward and they want to fly a flag that you agree with, you then cannot oppose a despicable group coming forward to fly their flag. The case comes from right here in Massachusetts, Shurtleff v. City of Boston. It's 596 U.S. 243. It was a unanimous decision in 2022, the same month that the Supreme Court decided the Dobbs decision and all of these other decisions that were deeply divided. This deeply divided court was unanimous that a municipality cannot discriminate based on the content or the viewpoint of the speech. I therefore urge you to amend the Bridgewater Code so that only the American flag, the state flag, the town flag, and for the reasons that Representative-elect Dennis Gallagher mentioned yesterday in his speech, and what Lisa Curley has presented tonight, the POW flag. I know this is going to upset some folks, but I, for one, don't ever want to see some of these despicable groups' flags on my town buildings. Thank you.
Mr. Bitter. Anybody else like to come up and speak?
Paul Laporte, Vernon Street. For the past 30 days, I've been figuring out to come up here or not. Lifelong resident of Bridgewater. I'm somewhat abhorred by the views that do not have the POW MIA flag. It is a federal law that where the U.S. flag is displayed, the POW MIA should be displayed correctly right underneath it. Says it straight in the thing. I'm just extremely disappointed. I don't care what any person's nationality is. I don't care what their gender, their religion, their rights or views. Everyone has their own opinions, and they should be equally taken, and I totally agree with that. But once again, you shouldn't take one person's opinion or multiple people's opinion, excuse me, and put that ahead of a federal flag. So, as I said, I'm very happy for the folks that have got the flags up there, and I have no problem with that. The problem is, if this country did not do what it did with veterans, you wouldn't have the ability to do this. Some of these flags would be, in other countries, would be either imprisonment or death for people. So you have the right here in the United States and the state of Massachusetts to present your opinion, present your flag, whatever. But the problem is you have veterans who have fought and sacrificed. Their families have sacrificed. Their families are still suffering because they don't know where they are. Yet, you choose as a council, or depends on the discussion tonight, not to have a POW MIA flag flying. And to me, I mean, I don't want to say that I'm from this town anymore, if that's going to happen, because It's not right. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Coming up, good sir.
Is it okay if I pass out a piece of literature to each one of you people?
Go right ahead.
Go right ahead. Thank you. My name's Louis Alleman. Just to give short history about this old soldier. I moved into, we bought our house in '68. I was a National Guard captain. 4 months later, I was told I'd be on active duty in a week. I had to move the howitzers and put them on flat cars. I retired out as a major, went back in, and got promoted to sergeant first class. There are approximately 1,000 veterans, 4 Gold Star families in our town of Bridgewater. God knows what some of the Gold Star mothers are doing. But anyway, I get off script again. A short story from this old retired soldier who is a hunt and peck typist, so you're going to find that out. Charles Alexander Jones, a personal friend of mine that I met over there. He was an advisor when we first started in Vietnam. Only advisors were over there. That was called USAV, United States Army Vietnam. Anyway, Charles was assistant to a Army captain, and he was also the radio operator on all these operations. He had many operations under his belt as a true infantry soldier. He got promoted to assist the advisor, Commander Major Burns, and then on operations he would accompany Major Burns in the Huey following the ARVN operation. ARVN being ARVN, Army of Republic of Vietnam. So he was the advisor to them. Couldn't tell them what to do, just advise. He went on several operations, and in his in the Huey, he went on several operations, and his replacement, Pappy, who was in charge of, or not in charge, but he was assistant the same captain on that particular unit. He got a Red Cross message that his father was on his deathbed. This is Pappy. So now Major Burns had to ask for a volunteer for the next operation to go and do the job. Since this was the same company that Sergeant Jones, or Jonesy, was used to having, he was familiar with the officers, he was familiar with the way they operate and everything like that, he took the job. He volunteered for it. The last time I saw Jonesy, was when he was packing his bag to go on the operation with the company commander of that ARVN unit. He had to load his M79 grenade launcher, check his ammo, made sure his radio was operating. And to know Jonesy was a true Catholic, he couldn't say poop if he had a mouthful. Then the next day, I heard he ran across a booby trap. A .155 round was set off electrically, which was buried in the paddy. People used to ask, why don't they go on the path between rice paddies? We never did, because that's where the Viet Cong would put booby traps. But in this case here, they put a .155 in the middle, well, not in the middle, but wherever, in a rice paddy, so you can't see it, because the water up there is like coffee brown. It was set off electrically with a Claymore system. A .155 round weighs 93 pounds of explosive and steel. He got hit with a piece of shrapnel the size of a baseball through his back. He lasted 3 days. I gotta find myself where I talk because I could lose it. I'm doing pretty good compared to the last time. If anybody remembers that, I made an idiot out of myself, but.
Do you need help?
Huh? No, I'm all right. I'm getting there. For an 87-year-old fat, I'm doing pretty good. We often talked of our families. He had 2 girls and a boy. And we used to joke, because when I went over, I had 2 daughters. And I brought that home with me, because I saw too many kids get killed over there. We often kid about our kids. He had 2 girls and 1 boy, I had 2 girls. But I told him, I said, you got to be careful. The boys get all dirty at home and come home with grease on their hands and all that good stuff. But you got to watch out for the girls. And he said, what do you mean? You got to watch every boy in town. It was just part of the joke and everything, but seriously, you just got told by Scott Peter on what they said in 2022. You have no right to put anything else up on that flag. I wonder if anyone has gone through the town or through that councilor's district that's bringing this motion up to find out if he's got any signatures that wants this flag up there. I doubt if he has. That's my own opinion, but I doubt it. When my troops came home, I was a commander twice, but I wasn't a commander over there. My troops were complaining about the way they were treated. I was up here in Bridgewater. Most of my troops were down in the New Bedford area. I was born and brought up in Fairhaven. But some were really complaining about it. And then 6 months later, I saw one of my medics, and his hand was all full of, both his hands, from Agent Orange. And then just lately, I've lost 2 friends this past year from Agent Orange. I hope their wives get what they deserve. Come on, Louis Turner. I didn't get the right one.
A few more seconds, Louis, if you could.
Pardon me?
Just wrap it up in a few more seconds, if you could.
Yeah, I understand. This is an important issue, and I understand that. But if we haven't prepped for it, never mind. I'd like to pass this out for, did you pass this out? Yeah, you passed them out. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Louis.
There's a rubbing on there. That's Alexander Jones rubbing on Vietnam Wall. And I didn't take this, this is from here, came from Washington, D.C. But if anybody realizes, there's an exact monument down in Fall River. It's only 20% smaller than the main one down in Washington, D.C. I was there when they opened it up, and we had a helicopter. But anyway, just read the fact about we all, and there are several veterans here in town that gave a blank check to this country. Think about that. Thank you so much for your time. You have a great day. Stay out of the hot sun and all that good stuff.
Thank you, Louis. Appreciate the information.
But like Scott said, think about it.
I'll take that. You just get your cane.
Yeah.
I'll get your phone.
Anybody else like to come up and speak? Going once, going twice? Thank you for all that came up and spoke. Thank you so much.
My grandson was
All right, moving on to appointments. Let's see. We have two candidates up for the Veterans Council, Sean Murphy and Tom Carson, both for the terms of 2024 to 2027. I believe all the councilors have the information in there that was presented to them. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So,
Second.
and second by Mr. Chase. Any further discussion on the motions of the two candidates? Seeing none, go over the voice vote. All those in favor of nominating them both to the Veterans Council, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you to both Sean and Tom for volunteering for the Veterans Council. Next up, we have a nomination to the Disability Commission. Karen Kelleher, again from 2024 to 2027. Her information also has been presented to the council members. Do I have a motion to approve Karen for the Disability Commission?
So moved.
Mr. McKinnon, second by Mr. Murphy. Any further discussion on the nomination? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving her nomination, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you to Karen for volunteering for that commission.
Mr. President,
Yes.
can I ask a question? I thought a while ago it was requested that we get resumes or any kind of background information on.
They were,
Was it sent?
they were sent.
I'm not seeing it in the packet, though.
No, it's not
Where
a
w-
full resume.
Yeah, where was the information sent?
We got it the last time, but not this one.
I've got, well, at least I was presented, I have the citizens advisory forms, and one copy of the online.
I think
Publication.
it's just, you know, I don't have any issues with any specific appointment, but I also don't know much about any of the appointees. The reason why I bring it up is because there has been votes in the past denying people based on their resume and experience. So I think for the parity of the process, it makes sense to include some background information on the appointees.
Yeah, we'll just look to get, is that all the information that we had on these candidates, or?
Yeah, usually we do have resumes, but some people don't have resumes anymore, especially Veterans Council
Okay, so I don't think
nominees,
there was
so
a presented resume. with these
that's why.
Sean Murphy would have had a resume for the Veterans Council. He's an attorney in town, and I think we should get resumes.
Yeah,
too.
even if it's not a formal resume, some kind of blurb, you know, any kind of, because again, you know, we set a precedent, it was requested, and again, another member of our community was voted against by one of our counselors prior because she had submitted her resume, and based on that resume, a counselor had not voted for her appointment. Thank
Okay.
you.
We'll try to get more of that information next time. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. All right, we have a hearing. The time is now 7:31. I will bring up the hearing for ordinance D FY 24-007, proposed amendment to ordinance Part 3 Admin Code, Chapter 1, Article 2, Section 1. This was brought forward by Councilor Chase. So, Mr. Chase, if you'd like to introduce this to start the hearing.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very briefly, we've talked about this rather extensively in previous meetings when this matter was introduced, and of course it was discussed and voted on in the Rules and Procedures Committee. This refers to the so-called Mullen Rule, which, if adopted by a Massachusetts municipality, would enable the bodies, the multi-member bodies, so-called, of that town, which are committees, boards, and commissions, which engage in adjudicatory proceedings, to permit a member of such board who may have missed one, but not more than one, meeting, to still participate in deliberations and voting if that member submits a signed affidavit indicating that they have subsequently acquainted themselves with the proceedings of that missed meeting by, for example, video and or by written minutes. So that's what the Mullen Rule does, and we've previously in the council approved it. It has now been advertised appropriately, and we are now considering final approval of it this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Well, we'll start off with this. Any general questions regarding this by the public? And if you do, you can certainly step forward to the microphone and ask any questions that you might have. Seeing none. Anybody from the public speaking in favor of it? Okay. Anybody from the public speaking in opposition? Seeing none. Does any town councilors have any questions for Mr. Chase on this issue? Seeing none. All right. The time is now 7:34, so I will close the public hearing at this time, and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Mr. McKinnon, and a second?
Second.
Ms. McGrath. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor of passing this ordinance, DFY 24-007, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item G, license transactions. First one we have up is petition P-2024-005, the granting of additional vehicles to a Class 2 used auto dealer's license for Elite Motors. This was posted in the Enterprise on 10/31. I will go ahead and open this hearing at 7:35 p.m. I'll start off by asking the petitioner if he'd like to come up and describe a little bit of what he's looking for here.
Good evening, councilors. Rest in peace to all our veterans. I honor their sacrifice and their services. I'm here for Elite Motors tonight for 456 Bedford Street. I want to increase my dealer license number 5261. I have provided all the requested documentations to council office.
You said there was going from 52 cars to 61?
5261. 50 license I have.
Oh, that's the number of the license?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and what's the number of cars you're looking to change from and to?
261.
Okay, oh, that's, okay, 261 cars, okay. So an additional 9 cars?
11.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, from 50, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said 52. Thank you, all right, so from 50 to 61, okay.
Correct.
All right, just looking through the paperwork. Anything else that you wanted to add besides that?
No, that's all.
Okay. Is there any general questions from the public in regards to this matter?
Quick point of clarification, did we ask the town manager?
I just, yeah, we can get some further clarification. When we get to the questions for the counselors, I was going to ask for a little bit more additional information.
Sorry,
from the town
I
manager.
need to jump.
No problem. So any questions from the public on this matter? Any public speaking in favor? Any public speaking against? Okay. I will now ask the town manager, do you have any additional information regarding this application?
I think everything's in your packet and everything is in order.
Thank you. Any questions from the councilors regarding this matter? The only question I had, and I don't see any type of mapping of the lot, and I know your lot because I drive by it quite
Yes,
regularly.
I have provided all that.
What's that?
I have provided all that.
Is there? Oh, okay.
It's in there, I think.
Is there a
The zoning department.
Oh, further? Okay, I'm sorry, I hadn't gotten there yet. Oh, I see, yes, okay. It's been on that. Okay, great, thank you so much, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Any further questions from any counselors? Nothing? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We'll close the hearing at this time. And that time is now 7:38. I will entertain a motion from council to approve.
Second.
Mr. McKinnon, and second by Mr. Lindy. Any further discussion of the motions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Next up, petition P-2025-006, the granting of a new common victualer's license for Bean and Brew. Again, this public hearing was posted on the Enterprise on 10/31. I will go ahead and open the hearing at 7:39 p.m. And the petitioner is stepping forward. Please introduce yourself and let us know what's going on here.
Hi, my name is Samantha Ventura. I am going to be taking over the Just Desserts Bakery on 1 Main Street. I'm 26. I'm a mother, a Culinary Institute of America graduate, a chef, and soon-to-be owner. I've worked in the hospitality and coffee industry for the past 10 years now, and my dream is to open Bean and Brew right here in Bridgewater. I will highlight Atomic Coffee out of Peabody, Mass. Our menu will consist of scratch-made croissants, pastries, desserts, and cakes. And the hours of operation will be from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday.
Very good. Thank you so much. Any general questions from the public? Seeing none. Anybody from the public speaking in favor? Seeing none. Anyone speaking in opposition? Seeing none. Any questions from any town councilors for? Yes, Ms. McGrath. Go
Yes,
ahead.
on here it says your operation will be from Monday to Sunday. So do we have it wrong?
I believe it's not listed under Monday. That is listed as Tuesday to Sunday.
I have Monday.
Oh, on the first page. I'm sorry. Looking on the application itself. Going back. Oh, I see that. I imagine that would be a typo since the license application says Tuesday.
We usually like to do it Monday through Sunday, so if she decides to open up on Monday, she doesn't have to come before the board. So
Very
that's
good.
why we usually put the whole week.
I see.
But she's only going to be open Tuesday through Sunday.
She'll have the option if she'd like.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, Ms. McGrath, Mrs. Robinson.
Not a question, just admiration for, I don't know what I was doing at your age. I certainly didn't have that kind of hustle. So
Thank you.
good luck. Wish you the best.
Thank you.
Any other council comments or questions? Okay. All right, then. I will go ahead and thank you so much for the information. I will close the hearing at 7:41, and I will ask for a motion to approve. Mr. Lindy, with the motion to
As
approve.
the District 2 Counselor, I'll welcome you to Bridgewater and make the motion to approve.
All right, and do I hear a second? Second from Ms. Ellenberg. Any further discussion on the matter? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving this petition, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries, and good luck, and we'll definitely be stopping by. All right. Moving on to item H, we do not have any presentations this evening, so we'll move on to item I, Town Manager's Reports. Ms. Robinson, you have the
Yes.
floor.
So at the last meeting, a request was made by Councilor Robinson to have a report of the reported system. So in your packet is a quick cover memo from me, as well as two reports that we received from the analytics showing the types of complaints or concerns that people have posted, and then some details about how long it's taken to respond to those and make repairs if that's necessary and close them out. As you can see, the reports are generally public works related in nature, potholes leading the charge of things people are reported most often, followed by streetlights, other DPW issues, water, street signs, and so on. And then smaller numbers of concerns for other items such as street sweeping, driveways, and so on. Was of note, so I find that pretty typical for this type of a program, that people tend to most report things like that they see. Overall, I think we're doing a fair job of closing them out. What I found concerning is some of them, the closeout time took as much as 20 to 30 days, so I think there's probably some area to tighten up there. So I'm going to talk with staff about that. And then I think this program's been around for maybe 6 months to a year. I'm not exactly sure of the time frame, but I think it probably could be better utilized if we make an effort to advertise it more and let people know it's there, and encourage people to reach out to us and report things that they see or they're concerned about. So I think that's something that we're going to work with staff on. So that's my report about that.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the town manager on that? Go ahead, Mr. Lindy, then.
Just a favor to ask for the visually impaired. I can see the second sheet with all the numbers on it. The first one is very hard to read, so.
We printed it in black and white, and it didn't come out quite as well as we would have liked.
Tiny print, I just can't read it.
Okay.
Ms. Robinson.
Thank you through you to the town manager. Thank you very much for pulling this. I know that you were not here when we reviewed this sometime back with the former town manager. That was the concern around some of these requests, is that there were some very long response times. And so I'm not sure if it was a matter of like closing out kind of like the ticket, or if it was actually responding in general to some of the requests around things like potholes, et cetera. So not remembering all the numbers directly, but it does look like there's still some opportunities. And I think it would, since they tend to be consistent, I don't know if you have any context for why does it take so long to respond to like potholes, for instance. You know, if that's something that you can either bring back, or if you do know off the top of your head, that would be helpful.
I know we've had some movement of staff in different divisions in Public Works, and I think part of it's just been that maybe there hasn't been a consistent person who's been able to follow up on all those as quickly as we'd like, but I'm going to address that with the director.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this item? Okay. Any other councils have any requests for the town manager for next meeting? Ms. Ellenberg.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Robinson. Actually, I don't know if this is the time to bring it up, but a constituent complained that Hemlock Drive has not been painted in a long time. And
painted in terms of street?
The buildings, rather.
That would go
peeling
to
paint
that
on the
would
buildings.
be the housing authority.
Housing Authority,
That would have
yes,
to be the
yes, yes, and you oversee the Housing Authority.
No, they oversee themselves. So that would, you would probably want to go directly to the housing authority if you want to make comment on that.
Thank you.
Can I?
Please,
add?
yeah.
Having been on that board, Colleen Doherty is the executive director. She also is the Taunton Housing Authority executive director, and Bridgewater has contracted with her. And if you call the office over there in Bridgewater, they'll forward the message to her.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for the town manager? Mr. Murphy?
But I just had a fire station update. I think there was a point at one time that Mr. Dutton said he was going to leave it on the agenda and just update us regularly. And if there wasn't anything to update, he would skip over it. But I think it's good to keep on there.
Right. Oh, I'm glad you brought it up. I can tell you that we are planning for the topping off ceremony for all of you next Wednesday, the 20th. And I think you were letting Ms. Ward know of your ability to do that. We'll be meeting in the parking lot here at 9:45 in order to head over there in one vehicle, because the site is so tight, and with construction going on, we don't want everyone driving themselves. But that should take we should have everybody back here by about 11 o'clock. And if you drive by, you can see the steel erection is going very well. It's going to be pretty well along to almost finished by the time that you arrive next week. So that's exciting. We're actually back on track schedule-wise. And I don't know of any other issues that we've had that have come up since your last report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lindy?
On that note, in the future, can we consider people's work schedules as well? I teach a class at 10 o'clock. There's no way, I want to be at that ceremony, but there's no way humanly possible that I can. And I'm sure there are other counselors that have the same issue.
Of course.
Anybody else?
Can I just add one item?
Certainly, go ahead.
So I just wanted to make more of a public service announcement tonight. I think everyone is well aware that Massachusetts and the whole New England region is experiencing a drought. And so water conservation is more important than it's been in a long time, especially since wildfire. Unfortunately, the opportunity for that is just so much higher. I received on my office phone this evening a call from our code red, or whatever the reverse 911 system is that we use here in Bridgewater, to say no outside burning per the chief, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. So I would just ask all residents to be so careful if you can. Try to limit your water usage to the extent possible, a slightly shorter shower and things like that, and not to have any outside fires at all, because even the smallest thing can become a big thing. And our firefighters are not necessarily trained in wildfire eradication. They're focused on house fires and responding to accidents and medical calls. And so we want to make sure we're maintaining their ability to help people when they need it for those sorts of emergencies. And that we are maintaining our water levels in our tanks, which are doing very well at the moment. But one fire can drastically change that. So I'm just putting a plea out there to everyone to do. If everyone does a little bit, we should be fine.
Thank you. Mr. Lindy?
Thanks for the public service announcement. Always good to remind people. I did have a question. I was approached by a resident, not a constituent in my district, that there may have been issues over near Viva with wildfire. Do you know anything about that?
Issues with what?
That there was a fire near the Viva complex over near
I
Claremont.
think there has been some small outbreaks, and those are something we can, probably deal with. We don't want them to get out of control, which is what you've seen in other parts of the state.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Moving on to discussions. We do not have any this evening. Committee reports. Does anybody have any reports regarding a committee?
We're going to try and meet for budget and finance once all these things are referred, and finance did not have a quorum for their last meeting, so I guess they're going to try again, and they'll have more stuff when we refer it.
Certainly. Anybody else have any reports? Go ahead,
Give
Mr.
a
Murphy.
quick update on the town manager search. We will meet again this Monday, the 18th, at 7 p.m. here in this location in person. We have also selected a search firm, Community Paradigm, who will help us along with the search. This Monday, we'll be talking about timeline and next steps moving forward for folks that are interested in the process. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. All right. Anyone else? Thank you very much. We do not have any legislation for action this evening, or old business. We do not have any old business to address. We've got some new business to address. First one up, Order OFY 25-021, renaming of the Bridgewater Middle School. This was introduced by Councilor Murphy and myself. Again, as mentioned at the beginning of the meeting by Mr. Fitzgibbons, this is renaming Bridgewater Middle School the Edward O'Donoghue Middle School. Again, based on where the school committee in 2001 had dedicated the school to Mr. O'Donoghue. The council would basically finalize the actual naming of the school in his honor, and being that I was in school at the time of his service, I would definitely like to see this happen for Mr. O'Donoghue. But I will ask for a motion to keep it at a council level and a second for any further discussion.
Second.
And second by Mr. McKinnon. Thank you. Any further discussion on this at this time? Seeing none, I'll just ask for a voice vote to keep it at a council level for next meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll keep it at a council level. Bring it back next meeting. Thank you. Next item, Order OFY 25-022, reappointment of our acting town manager, Blythe Robinson. Again, this was brought forth by myself. Her first 90 days are coming to a quick close the beginning of December. So we really need to begin to start taking action to reappoint her for a second 90 days as we continue the search for a permanent town manager. And again, we're looking to keep this at a town council level. So I'll ask for a motion to keep it here.
At a council level.
And a second for any
Second.
further discussion. Ms. Robinson, any further discussion on it at this time? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All those in favor of keeping it at a council level, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will keep this at the council and bring it up at our next meeting.
Can I just ask one question?
Oh, go ahead, Mr. McKinnon.
Discussion. We can only appoint her for 2 90-day terms, right?
According to the charter, at this point, that's how it's outlined. After that, we'll have to figure out how we proceed.
Just had to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Next up, Order OFY 25-023. FY 2025 classification tax allocation, adoption of a residential factor. Actually, I'll get a brief overview from the town manager on this, if we could. After she consults with Attorney Rollins. Actually, just having Blythe go over the classification tax allocation, the adoption of a residential factor.
So this is an annual process by which the council is going to decide whether, how to split, if at all, the residential tax rate from the commercial tax rate. It's not the actual setting of the tax rate. That's not done by you. It's more to decide whether you wanted to change from what you've been doing the previous year to the next year as part of the process of setting the tax rate.
Thank you very much. I will look for a motion to refer this to Budget and Finance Committees.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of sending it to Budget and Finance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Order OFY 25-025. I'm sorry, 024, an order to raise the POW MIA flag. This was brought forth by Councilors Chase and Lindy, so I'll let one of you gentlemen open the discussion on this.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I may, I'd like to read the order into the record and for the benefit of the public. Whereas on September 17th, 2024, the town of Bridgewater observed National POW MIA Recognition Day, and whereas on National POW MIA Recognition Day, the Town Council of the Town of Bridgewater, by proclamation, approved raising of the POW MIA flag in commemoration of the plight of American military personnel held captive or deemed missing in action on foreign shores. And whereas on October 15th, 2024, the Town Council of the Town of Bridgewater adopted a resolution to raise the POW MIA flag on town property at all times to show respect and gratitude to those Americans who are classified as prisoners of war or missing in action. Now therefore be it ordered that pursuant to Section 2-2 of the Town of Bridgewater Charter, the Town Council assembled does hereby direct and order that the POW MIA flag be raised at the War Memorial on the Town Common to fly at all times hereafter together with the flag of the United States of America. That is the full text of the proposed order.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chase. Anything to add, Mr. Lindy?
Well, Fred put out an email to see if I wanted to co-sponsor it. Also, Sonia, who had been involved in this, and I responded favorably. I hear the veterans loud and clear. I hear Mr. Pitta, which is new information that I didn't have before. But we do have to kind of resolve this at some point and put an end to it. I think there are 4 flags up, 2 of which I pushed really hard to get American flags up. We did not have an American flag at the library for the longest period of time. We unfortunately did not have a POW MIA flag at the Academy building for a long time, and that was corrected. It went down, and I think we need to move forward with this.
Thank you, Mr. Lindy. I will look for a motion and a second for discussion to keep it at a at the town council level. But, Ms. Robinson, if
Can I just add another comment before
Please,
we
go
do
right
that
ahead.
motion? I think this is great that this is being put up, and it sounds, if I'm understanding our previous conversations, I think that there was probably some misunderstandings happening in terms of the requirements around it. But I also get the sense that there's not a single person on this council who would ever have opposed this. So I hope that that message comes through to the entire community, that I don't think that there, again, I think that there was some logistical confusion in terms of the requirements, but I think the requirements are very clear and that this council supports this. But I hope that the community understands. I don't think that there was ever any question about not supporting our veterans or those who are still missing in action. I just cannot imagine a world where anybody would feel that way otherwise. I think what did become the point of contention is trying to find space and flexibility for other flags that do recognize other factions of people. And one of those flags I do want to point out is the Juneteenth flag, which is the flag of independence, which is related to Black history, which is American history. So that it has an importance in our American history that should not and cannot be ignored. And I believe that there is room and space, and for anyone who continues to say they believe that everybody in this country deserves to be treated and recognized, then I think that we could find space and flexibility to be able to honor additional flags like that. So anyway, I appreciate you hearing me out, but again, I want to reiterate, I don't believe that there was ever a single malintent to dishonor a single veteran or anybody who is still missing in action. So thank you to the counselors who are sponsoring this to just make sure that we've got it officially on the books. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. So again, I'll ask for a motion to keep it at the council level and second for any further
I'll make the
discussion.
motion to do that.
Further discussion?
Second for discussion, Mr. Ellenberg, okay. And Ms. Ellenberg, I think you had your hand up first. Do you have any comments?
Yes, I just wanted to say that after hearing Mr. Pitta, I have changed my opinion, and I think that only flags of government should be up. American flag, POW, MIA flag, state flag, town flag. All other items are personal items and should be displayed at people's homes or whatever, but flags should have government only, which brings us all together. We the people, are the government. And then individual factions here or there can display their own flag as they choose.
Well, again, we're just dealing with the POWMI flag, this situation. Mr. McKinnon.
So, just before the meeting, I had to go across the street to make sure this was accurate, but do any of you guys know what that pole is dedicated for at the end of the south of the Common?
Yeah, it's
9/11.
It's a 9/11 flag, all right, yes, that's good. That's not the War Memorial flag. I do think we need to work on the War Memorial building. We need lighting over there because there's an American flag over there right now, and there's no lighting on it. You couldn't even tell as we sit here. Second, I'd like to know why this is staying at a council meeting when we already have one on rules and procedures docket, the same order on all this.
Orders are typically not necessary to be presented before the Rules and Procedures Committee.
Yeah, well,
Rules and
we
Procedures
sent
deals
it
with
to rules
charter
and
changes,
procedures.
ordinances, ballot questions.
We did send it to rules and procedures, though, and it's sitting there, and it's not on the agenda tomorrow either.
Is that a different,
You
I think that's important.
It's
speaking
an
about-
the
you're speaking about
POW ordinance.
Right, you're
that
speaking
we
about the ordinance, the proposed amendment to the existing ordinance. That's before the Rules and Procedures Committee, and that's not a subject of what's before us tonight.
I mean,
It's an entirely separate matter, and we don't speak about matters that are before another committee when they're in the hands of another committee.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just asking. See, I just learned something.
That's
why I asked
the
my
short
questions.
Okay.
All right.
So again, the ordinance more long-lasting, so that would be in front of that rules and procedures. The orders can stay at a council level.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Mr. McKinnon, on that? Mr. McGrath, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple things. I agree with the memorial building. It's not a memorial building. It just has the name on it. It hasn't been kept up. They just have offices in there. So it really has very little to do with the veterans. It has as much to do with the veterans as the old town hall has to do with the town. And the other thing that I don't understand how someone can bring forward an order to tell us, the POW family members and veterans, where our flag can be. It'd be like if I would write an ordinance and tell the Juneteenth where they can put their flag, and yet I'm not a woman of color, so why should someone who has no skin in the game order us where our flag's gonna be flown?
Counselor, the order is from the council ordering the town manager to implement this if it's
Yeah.
actually passed.
Well, I mean,
not ordering the council to do anything.
No, it's
we, the council, as the legislative body of the town, in whom is vested all of the power provided to us by the charter.
right, but
We are
only two
ordering-
councilors are bringing this forward. So you already know that all the other councilors are gonna vote for this? I don't understand why
Why we have
we're
a
being
vote to
told
determine who
where
is-
our flag can fly.
Well, I believe the ordinance is, the ordinance that's in front of rules and procedures is a more broad-based
Yeah, but this is
ordinance.
saying that the POW flag has to fly at the memorial building.
No, it's not the memorial. It's
It
the
says
war
to be-
memorial on the common. So again, it should be probably more properly listed as the 9/11 memorial.
It's still, you shouldn't be telling us what pole it should be flagged on. We want it on the town, in front of the town hall, always, because that's where the honor and respect will be for the residents.
Council, your option is to vote in opposition to this.
I do, but I don't understand why it's coming up where you pick one flagpole.
Because we had considerable debate at our last meeting some weeks ago now.
Right.
And there was a lot of sentiment expressed from members of the public and members of the council as to the need for utilization of more than one flagpole.
And Mr. Perry brought up the idea that we'd have two flagpoles, one for federal and one for state, so that way all the flags would be in front of the Academy building.
Well, again,
But we
through
didn't
me,
discuss
guys, through the president here, we can have a discussion on
So
it.
this is not going to go for two rules and procedures. This is going to be the first.
This is the first reading, keeping it, and we're looking to keep it at a council level. And again, we can discuss it as a council.
So my ordinance has been 3 weeks waiting for rules and procedures. They have a meeting on the 13th, and it's not on the agenda, but this one's going to stay with us and be read at the next town council
There's a
meeting.
considerable backlog of matters before the Rules and Procedures
And I would like to know
Committee.
why.
Hold on, well, that's
Well-
not the discussion
Right.
here. That's not the discussion
You
here.
brought it up, not me.
Well,
Who's on the
let's stick
rules?
with the,
Mine's
well, let's
been
stick with what we have in front of us here,
Right.
first of all. And if there are any further discussion as a council on this particular order. Ms.
Question?
Ellenberg.
Who's on the Rules and Procedures Committee?
Your chair is Mr. Chase.
And other members?
And Brad is on.
Okay,
And Paul.
okay. And Paul, thank you.
So if I did a charter objection, then this would not be read today, but have to be read at the next town council meeting?
Yes.
That's what I'd like to
Yes.
do. I'd
Okay.
like to do a charter objection.
Okay. So at that point, clarification, Mr. Reynolds?
It'll
On the
just go
steps?
on the next agenda. You can't take a vote at the first reading, so it just goes on the next agenda. But this can only be done once.
Okay.
Can I ask a genuine question? What is the concern about the other flagpole? Is it valued less than? Because if it's
If
in
it's
honor
not
of
valued
9/11
less, then why do we have to take our flag off, but Juneteenth and Pride flag?
And I'm sorry,
flag?
what do you mean
We
we?
should have all equal, two flagpoles if they're the flags, but in the center, in front of the Academy building. That's
So if
where
I-
all flags go.
If I'm understanding this has to fly in perpetuity. It doesn't come down at all. Is that correct?
That's what this
That's what the
says.
order is
Yes, I'm like,
directing.
what are we
It's
arguing?
going to be on the 9/11 flagpole. The POW flag should be flown under the American flag at the center in front of the Academy building. It's a town building. The 9/11 is the firemen and those who risked their lives saving
The
those.
memorial on the town common is not limited to 9/11. It's a war memorial
Yeah.
that actually commemorates the actions of our military in all wars of this century.
But
That's
still-
why I'm
sometime.
genuinely confused, because
It's
I
very
thought that was the
impressive.
intent of
Let me
that
bring this back to
memorial.
order, guys. We did have the charter objection. This is being
Okay.
pushed forward to the next meeting. We'll pick up the discussion on this item at the next meeting.
All right, thank you.
We need to move forward. Order OFY 25-025, acceptance of a donation from the Oleari Charitable Foundation. And I will actually ask, you have a
Motion, no.
Oh, yeah, well, I just want to get a little description from Ms. Robinson on this order.
The library received a grant of $7,500 for the Cy Montgomery Author event from this organization. So it's and to be able to hold this event.
Very good. I would like to get a motion to send to Budget and Finance Committee.
So move.
Second.
A second by Ms. Robinson. Any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, all those in favor of sending to Budget and Finance Committee signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have Order OFY 25-026, General Fund Free Cash Allocation. Again, I'll ask Ms. Robinson for a brief description.
So the town has had a practice over some number of years to take its free cash when it's certified by the state and distribute it amongst the various stabilization trust funds that you see listed in the order. So this is following that standard practice. This year's free cash was $3,517,736. So it's being split between the General Fund Stabilization Trust Fund, Capital Stabilization, OPEB, the Employee Liability Fund, and one-time unforeseen fund.
Thank you, thank you, Town Manager. Do I have a motion to move to Budget and Finance?
So moved.
Committees?
Second.
So moved. Second by Mr. McKinnon. Any discussion on this? Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes, discussion. I see once, again, we have one-time unforeseen fund, the Bridgewater Cares Transportation. Again, that is what goes around town and takes people without transportation to the grocery store, the pharmacy, and so forth. I understand there was a grant from the Mass Department of Transportation, also Bridgewater State University, also the town of Bridgewater, and all of those together paid for Bridgewater Cares vehicle transportation for seniors and so forth. I understand they have run out of money. Is it possible to have the Bridgewater Cares van available for our seniors?
I can't answer that tonight. This is just to put money in these various locations, so it can be
yes.
used for other unforeseen things that come up.
Well, yes, that to me is an unforeseen thing, but
I understand.
okay, yes.
All right. We'll have to look into that, Ms. Ellenberg, to see. Again, funding for that, I know that was coming from a variety of different sources, including state funds and and things from COVID and stuff, so we'll have to take that under advisement. Yes.
Just a suggestion, maybe put it under the town manager's report, and we can get an answer
Yeah,
back.
sure.
at
If
the
you want to
next
put a
meeting.
request into her
Yes,
on
I
that.
would like. Yes, thank you.
So I had a motion and a second. All those in favor of sending to Budget and Finance Committees, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have Order OFY 25-027, Transfer Order, Legal Employment and Collective Bargaining Agreement. Again, I refer to the town manager.
Thank you. So we are, the fund we just spoke about is proposed to use $75,000 from that fund for two purposes. The first of which is to pay for outside legal counsel for labor matters to assist us with the negotiation of the 5 union contracts that are currently under being negotiated, successor contracts, the ones that expired in June. So that's a cost there that you don't typically see, but with a change of staffing, we needed to do that. And the second is that we have 2 matters of litigation that will need to pay for the insurance, sorry, I'm not thinking of the word, the deductible that needs to be paid for 2 items that we are being defended against. We have a payment to Maya for both of those, and the some part of that request of $75,000 would go to those for the defense that we're receiving.
Thank you. Motion to send to Budget and Finance.
I'll make that
Committee.
motion.
Motion and a second for discussion.
For discussion.
Second from Mr. McKinnon.
For
Ms. Ellenberg, I have a
discussion.
question.
Yes, to the town manager, are you able to disclose the basis upon which the town is defending itself?
Not at this time. I think we could discuss it in another forum.
We could discuss litigation in executive session.
Yep.
I just think the taxpayers like to know where their money is being spent, but all right.
All right. All those in favor of sending to the Budget and Finance Committees, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next up, Order OFY 25-028, Sewer Enterprise Fund Transfer. And again, I refer to Ms. Robinson for description.
So, as you may or may not know, we are under a consent order with the EPA to continue to make improvements to our sewer treatment facilities, and the next phase of that is for phosphorus removal. So this allocation of funds from retained earnings will be used to pay for the preliminary design work so we can start that process.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Motion to move to Budget and Finance Committees? Motion made. Second. Mr. Chase? Any further discussion on the matter? Seeing none, all those in favor to send to Budget and Finance Committee signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, Order OFY 25-029, Transfer Station Retained Earnings. Again, I'll refer to the Town Manager for description.
So we are seeking to make a transfer of $51,800 from the retained earnings of the transfer station for a couple of purposes. One is to fund an increase in the contract of the manager of the station. Through the budget process, we determined, I guess, this past year that that position was underpaid for the responsibilities that required. And also to, didn't have a good understanding, I guess, in the budget process of the cost of a part-time employee for the times that the manager is out and taking some time off or out sick. So using a portion of that to be able to hire somebody a few hours a week to be able to support that operation, and then to make some minor repairs and updates to the station. So those three purposes.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to send to Budget and Finance
moved.
Committees? Mr. Lindy, second? Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion?
I just have a question. Question, good. Mr. Robinson,
Rob.
could you clarify that first point that you made when you said it was determined that the salary, I'm sorry, wasn't adequate enough?
The salary wasn't necessarily appropriate for the responsibilities and the time commitment of the job. It hadn't been reviewed in, I guess, a number of years. And so that was undertaken over the summer before Mr. Dutton departed. And we need to fund that for the rest of the fiscal year.
So in other words, it's saying that this person received $26,800 in a raise?
I don't think it was that exact amount. I think part of that is also for the part-time staff, but I'll have to triple check.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Any further questions?
Just a question.
Mr. Lindy?
We can follow that up in Budget and Finance and find out the
Thank you.
details for that. And I'm going to ask that meeting, there's a lot of stuff on that agenda. I'm going to ask that meeting be posted for full council in case anyone wants to ask questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lindy. All those in favor of moving to Budget and Finance Committees, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Order OFY 25-030, Bridgewater Rainham Regional School District Capital Plan Transfers. Again, I refer to the town manager.
So as part of the approved assessment for the regional school district, the amount of the assessment for capital needs was set this year for $1,017,446. And so these funds would come out of the capital stabilization fund and be paid to the school. And you'll find in your packet there is a listing of all the specific items that they're going to spend the money on.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Do I have a motion to move the Budget and Finance Committee?
So moved.
Mr. Lindy, second.
Second.
Mr. Allenberg. Any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of sending the Budget and Finance Committees, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. All right. Next up. General Ordinance DFY 25-011, General Ordinance, amend Chapter 300, Article 2, Truck Exclusions. And I don't have a name, but was this you, Mr. Who brought this forward? I don't have it on.
Councilor Lindy.
I did?
It was
I did?
Councilor Lindy.
Okay, it's a while. Selective memory loss, sorry. Okay.
I do believe this is in reference to heavy truck traffic on High Street, and I believe this is setting up a truck exclusion to restrict the use of vehicles over 2.5 tons.
Correct.
Going down High and Hayward Streets.
Yep.
And we're looking to send this to Rules and Procedures. Do I have a motion to send to Rules and Procedures?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Robinson. Any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, all those in favor of sending this to Rules and Procedures, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Oh, actually, that's page 2. I had one without a name and one with a name. All right. Lastly, Resolution RFY 25-003, FY 2026 budget resolution, and this again was brought up by myself. This is a budget resolution that we set up every year to help guide the budget process for FY 2026. Very similar in scope to what has been set up in recent years, but again, just to help align the town's budget process with procedures that we have taken in the past. It's kept us fiscally responsible. I will ask for a motion to send this to Budget and Finance Committees.
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Ellenberg. Any further discussion on this particular resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor of sending to Budget and Finance Committees, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm going to ask for the next Budget and Finance Committee meeting to be at 6 o'clock prior to the town council meeting, since there's so many items.
I need some time.
Yeah.
I think that would be appropriate.
And I hope that the Finance Committee meets as well.
Exactly. All right. Moving on to item O, citizens' comments. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, due to Mass Open Meeting Law requirements, discussions will not take place during a public comment period. If appropriate, responses to questions and concerns will be given by the town manager at a future town council meeting. If you'd like to speak, please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your responses to 3 minutes or less.
Hi, Laureen Powers, 41 Sunrise Drive. We've heard tonight about the suffering of veterans and their families and the significance of the POW flag. These issues are indisputable. My husband is a veteran. He has 3 brothers who are veterans. His father was a World War II veteran. All, thankfully, did return home, some with issues. But we also cannot deny the suffering incurred by members of the LGBT community and people of color. Racism is still alive here. In fact, very recently in a couple of local communities, one being in Abington. So flying the Pride and Juneteenth flags are also very important to this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to come up and speak?
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Daniel Gilmet. I am the grandson of Major Allman. Address is 12 Carver Drive, Bridgewater. I am saddened, just like many of you in this country, that we've all been divided of race. That flag that stands in the corner, we've had many black Americans, many gay Americans fight for this country who died to serve for that flag. They didn't die, they didn't serve for a Juneteenth flag or for a pride flag. There is one pride flag in this country, and that is the flag of the United States. That you couldn't tell me of any outfit who served this nation otherwise. They didn't serve under any other flag. They loved one flag. We got through challenges. We do so every single day. Historical preference. We have the Harlem Hellfighters who served bravely in the Great War. They didn't serve under a Juneteenth flag. They were not from Africa. They were black Americans. We've had many Americans who fought for this country who may be gay or bisexual or whatever you'd like to call them, respectfully. Okay? They fight for the United States flag. And for all you to have the freedoms to fly whatever banner you'd like on your own land and at your own house. But if you keep on pushing this division, okay, you can't speak for a few bad apples. Okay, one bad apple does not speak for the entire community. There are 2 flags that fly on government property. That is the POW flag, and that is the United States of America flag. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Anybody else like to come up and speak? Paul, come on up.
Paul Percy. I just have a question. I apologize. I don't. Is it Miss Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I can't say so. When you said that, you know, what's the? Sorry, paraphrasing, and I don't may say this, but you know, what's the issue? The flag be flying at the memorial. I guess my concern is, you said it's flying a flag. The POW is flying a flag, but then why are the Juneteenth flag and Pride flag flying here? So you're telling people, like this councilwoman said, you're flying one flag. You're telling where to fly one flag and fly other flags. Sorry, that's on me. I'm just concerned, like I said, I think we're creating a bigger divide in this town than we have to. And it's, you know, government regulations. And like I said, I love all people. As long as you're a good person and you're respectful to others, so anyone who has their opinions, you should be able to respect their opinions. Don't tell them if they don't believe in BLM, they're racist. They just have an opinion. I don't care what you are. As long as you're a good person, don't hurt kids and dogs. You know, that's the biggest thing for me. So it's just concerned that an ordinance would come up that you would limit where a flag can be put and somewhat argue against it or argue for it, saying, well, that's where it should be because it's a war memorial. Well, why shouldn't it be at the post office? It's federal. Why shouldn't it be at all town buildings, including maintenance buildings? Those are all town buildings. I mean, that's where they're supposed to be flown. And I think the best idea still is fly the flag with a POW, put a second flag up with the Massachusetts flag, and then you put the other flags with those. Because I think that's the best thing too. I'm happy that people have the opportunity they have now for people who had been bullied or hurt in the past due to their orientation, color, race, whatever. I mean, respectfully, I don't mean to downplay that, but unfortunately, we've had a bad history in our town, in our state, in our country. But we're trying to make it better. Why are we constantly putting things in to make the divide greater? That's my question to you guys that I asked you to think about. By limiting where you put the POW flag or focusing where it goes, maybe it's a second. Is that considered a secondary pole? Is that considered the primary pole? I'm asking you guys to think about it. That just be fair, you know? I was talking to someone else, I forget who it was, that a town north of Boston was forced to put up a Palestinian flag because of the armed conflicts. And when that happened, they're not even supposed to do that. It's not even a country. But they put it up, and they were forced to put it up. They put up Israel as well, too. Someone can come by and put anything else up, but in the state of Massachusetts, no other flag should be flown other than a U.S. flag and the POWMA flag on that pole. That is the state law. No other countries, no other rule. So I appreciate your time, and I hope you make the right decision for everybody, not for just one side or the other. Make it benefit for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
So since you addressed me, I'd like to address you back.
Not right now, Ms. Robinson.
So I think
Ms.
you
Robinson?
did paraphrase
Ms.
me
Robinson.
inaccurately.
She
I
could
don't.
call for, you would have to call for a point of personal privilege.
I'd like to call for a point of personal privilege.
Okay.
Under a point of personal privilege, because it was a direct comment to her that involves her character or reputation, she can address it.
Okay. With that, go ahead.
Thank you, President. Thank you. I think you did paraphrase me a little bit inaccurately. I was merely asking questions because there has been such animosity in these meetings, and so many things you just said I agree with. Yes, let's be fair. That was, actually, I think that was my point in exactly what I said earlier, is that I think all of us, actually, I know all of us are in agreement, fly the POW flag at all times. That's what this ordinance is about. What people are getting upset about is this notion of where. And that is the part, I'm going to be very honest, maybe I'm having a mental block. I am having a little trouble with, if it's up and it's associated with the American flag, isn't that what we said we were going to do? So if I'm misunderstanding, so the location thing is what people are fighting about, but underneath it, I want to be really clear. There have been very, very specific comments made that have denigrated and said very pointedly against Pride, against Juneteenth. And we're like, there's no room for that? So let's make no mistake that is also happening here. And so there are voices like mine who are going to speak up against that, because I am an American citizen and I am very proud of that flag. But I also support other identities here, and I think that they can be represented here in fair ways. I personally don't care if the Pride flag or the Juneteenth flag is on a different flagpole. I don't care if it's in front of the post office. That is my personal opinion. So I'm more agnostic about location, but I do want to support that. I think that there's opportunity for us to support each other in different ways. So I think that we're actually on a similar plane, but I just want to make sure that I'm not misquoted.
But I just haven't, that's fine, I'm like, I was.
Again, we can't go back and forth. That was her response to what you said.
No.
That's for the body.
Thank you.
politic.
Yeah.
You had 3 minutes,
Yeah.
and then she has the ability as a point of personal privilege.
Yeah.
of the-
Thank you, Paul.
I'm happy
Anybody
to
else like
talk
to
to you
come up
later,
and
by the
speak?
way. Paul, I'm happy to talk to you later, by the way.
Sure, thank you.
Mr. Pitta.
Scott Pitta, Pine Street, again. Just want to clarify a couple of things. I've sat here through the entire meeting. I didn't hear a single person denigrate the Pride flag, the Juneteenth flag.
It has been stated in
And,
other
excuse me,
meetings.
Ms. Robinson,
this is
please,
my
yeah.
3
You're
minutes.
right. Yeah, last meeting, I'm taking
I
some
know,
concessions.
it's your last meeting. I'm sorry, Mr. President, may I start again?
Yes, please.
Okay. Sitting in this meeting, throughout the entire meeting, I didn't hear a single person denigrate the Pride flag or the Juneteenth flag. As I stated earlier, my main concern is that we follow the Constitution. Over 30 years ago, I raised my right hand and I swore an oath to defend the Constitution. When this council adopted the municipal code as it exists today, it borrowed heavily from the city of Boston and other communities around the area. At the time, and I know that because I was there, Kevin, you were there too. Between 2005 and 2017, the city of Boston, using almost the identical language in our code, approved the raising of about 50 unique flags for 284 events. Many of these flags were associated with groups and causes such as the Pride flag, Juneteenth flag, a banner honoring emergency medical workers. But in doing so, the city gave those groups a voice. It allowed them to speak from the government's platform. And that's the issue here. Now, this isn't for the order that you have before you tonight, or the order you have before you tonight. This is more for the ordinance that's sitting in the Rules Committee. As you look at that ordinance to amend the current municipal code, this is what I want you to think of. This is where the Supreme Court said that if you are going to give a platform to one group, you must also give the platform to every other group. You cannot discriminate when you don't like what the message says. If you do that, you will violate the First Amendment rights of those groups, no matter how despicable they are. And there are groups out there that look for codes like this, and they come in specifically to get declined and make a lot of work for our town attorney. And it gets very expensive for the town, especially when you lose. We can't afford that. Our budget is already too tight. That is the main reason I would like to see our municipal code amended to only allow the flags that I've previously discussed. I welcome this community to embrace Juneteenth and Pride Month and have those flags throughout our community. I think that would be a great thing. I think it is a terrible thing for our government to choose which groups get to have a platform to speak. That would violate the Constitution and the First Amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pitta. Anybody else like to come up and speak? Nope. You got a couple? Come right up.
Hi, David Michael, 21 Quail Run Road. Let's talk about the power of flags as symbols and the profound difference between those that represent hate and those that represent love and optimism. Historically, some flags have been used to divide, intimidate, and discriminate. They carry legacies of fear and oppression, and for many, they're powerful reminders of exclusion and inequality. In contrast, flags of love and optimism, like the Pride and Juneteenth flag, stand for inclusion, resilience, and unity. They tell everyone, you are welcome, you belong, you are safe. These symbols don't just represent groups, they represent values. They celebrate the diversity that strengthens our community and our shared commitment to fairness and hope. By choosing these symbols, we're saying that this is a place of progress, empathy, and inclusion. Permanently flying the POW flag at the War Memorial across the street doesn't make it any less important. We need to come to a compromise with a common sense approach. Let's make sure that our community here in Bridgewater is known for its commitment to unity, respect, and equality. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
And Ms. Robinson, I just want to thank you for your service and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to come up and speak?
Yes, Nick Baggis. I enjoy coming down here. It's a learning curve for me over here. The only thing I have a question or a complaint on or a suggestion on is licensed transactions, as an example. I'm sitting in the dark going on my computer trying to find out where they're located. They should either say where they're located or put it in the printed over here. When they talk about the license, I don't know what they're talking about. You know, their addresses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baggis. Anybody else like to come up and speak? Going once, going twice. Thank you for those that came up and spoke this evening. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item P, council comments, and I will start with Ms. Robinson.
Oh, putting me on the spot early, huh? Thank you to whomever left the flowers and book. So that was very lovely. First, I guess it's sort of belated since it's the next day. Happy Veterans Day. I was actually raised by a veteran, a Navy veteran, and I think one of the most amazing things that he taught me was because of his travels around the world. He gave me a worldview of the world, just the world overall from his travels that he treasured so much in terms of learning different cultures, encountering different types of people. And so that was something that was very, very special to me. And I am very, very fortunate and grateful that he is still with us and still very much alive and active. So thank you to all veterans. My only other thing is probably just a farewell. So as folks know, I am stepping down due to personal health reasons, and this is my last meeting. I will be okay, so thank you for all the well wishes. I've actually been, it's a little bittersweet. So many people have reached out, so I really appreciate the kind words and gestures and well wishes. But I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to serve. I started in 2020 in the pandemic on Zoom with the Financial Committee, and I worked on the Ad Hoc Master Plan Committee. I've been involved with the Ad Hoc DEI Committee, and I've got to learn so much about how this town operates, and it's no small feat, and we did it on such a tiny budget in my eyes, and it's just been amazing to learn what it takes to make a town run. So it's been so interesting to learn different things, flex different muscles, and especially get to meet so many people in the community that I would have never probably met otherwise, because we tend to go in our own circles, stay in our echo chambers and our small social and family circles. But this definitely was a great opportunity to open that up a lot more, and especially meet the residents of Bridgewater. So it's been a great privilege to legislate with you all, to spar with every single person in this room probably, but I do appreciate the mutual respect back, because that's always been part of it as well, is that I have so much respect for everybody who comes every single day to help serve and be in the community. And so many people who come to these meetings all the time. And I know that we don't always agree, but I think that's the beauty of diversity of voices, is that we can learn different perspectives. So, so I wish you a temporary farewell. I'll see you around town, though. Who knows? Maybe I'll run again someday. But thank you for everything that you do to my other counselors here. I know that there's so much passion here in this group for wanting to do what's best for our community. And I believe in so many of the things that we have ahead of us. So I'm looking forward to that. Good luck as you continue, and thank you to Attorney Rollins, and thank you so much, Debbie, as well. I will miss you. But yeah, so overall, thank you, Bridgewater. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Mr. McGinn.
Yeah, just one quick thing. It's to you, Susie. I wish you nothing but health and wealth and happiness with everything that's going on in your life. It's always good to have different minds on this council, and we definitely do have a bunch of different mindsets on here, which is a good thing, believe it or not. I know me and you haven't always seen eye to eye, but that's what politics are at the same time. You're not always going to agree with everything, but I do appreciate you. And I mean, surprise, surprise, the flowers might have been from me, who even knows? But it's the small things in life that go the farthest, you know? So I just wish you well with everything in the future. And maybe we'll see you again on the council, who knows? Only time will tell, right? That's it for me, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKinnon. Ms. McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will miss you, Susie, a lot. So last week, for 3 nights, the CERT team role-played in active shooting training for the police and fire department. It was intense at times. Each night, there was a new group of personnel from the fire and police department, and each night, there was 3 different scenarios. The CERT team was briefed on each scenario and how it should be handled, but the police and fire personnel were not briefed, and they entered the building blindly, only knowing that there was an active shooter. It was amazing at how these officers had to make split-second decisions. It was amazing to see how fast the firefighters evaluated up to 10 injuries and were willing to enter the building to help us. Although each department is different, they have one common trait. They both run into danger to save others. I encourage residents, when CERT training is offered again, to sign up. I have grown confident in being able to help others and handle the situations because of all the CERT training. Also on Saturday, I went to the Fall 2024 Championship NFL Youth Football. What a great program. Coach Rigg has given all the Bridgewater children a chance to play sports, fathers to coach, and the young adults to be refs and also coaches. On the sidelines, families gathered to cheer the teams, and the young children played together. And I saw some throws and catches that would definitely be the highlight of the week on the Sports Channel. So thank you, Mr. Rigg, for all you do for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGrath. Mr. Chase.
Thank you, Mr. President. I certainly want to wish Councilor Robinson the best. I was very pleased when you joined the council, and increasingly became very pleased and impressed with everything that you've done here in our council activity, in the council itself, and certainly in the committees in which you've served as well. You've certainly done a tremendous amount of work with respect to, for example, the Community and Economic Development Committee, and I want to acknowledge that and thank you for that. It's certainly sad to think that you won't be occupying that seat, but I too would be very hopeful that maybe one day you will again. And even should you not, I'm very confident that you're going to continue to do the very best you can for the town of Bridgewater at every opportunity. And I want to wish you just the very best in all regards. Thank you. One other point I just wanted to make was, briefly, but with respect to the flag issue. And I'd like to just point out one significant difference between the circumstances of the city of Boston and the difficulties they encountered and what our ordinance in Bridgewater provides with respect to the raising of flags. In the city of Boston, for many years, as was pointed out, citizens could bring forward flags of virtually any description for any purpose the city would allow one of their 3 flagpoles to be utilized for that purpose, to raise a flag, and usually with some remarks to be publicly made right there at the time of the flag raising. That went on without incident until the city of Boston refused to permit the Christian flag to be flown, because the city of Boston said, well, wait, that's religious, we can't do that. Church and state, we can't do that. Of course, that's what gave rise to the lawsuit, which ultimately made its way to the Supreme Court. That was the Shurtleff case. And the Supreme Court, in its ruling, in a unanimous ruling, it was a 9-0 decision. Not a lot of unanimous decisions come out of the Supreme Court, but it was unanimous. And the action of the city of Boston, I should say that the suit against the city prevailed, and the city of Boston was in fact criticized for having refused to allow one group to fly a flag when everyone else who brought a flag was permitted. Now here in Bridgewater, we have an ordinance that we passed 4 years ago, and the significant distinction in our ordinance as compared with the circumstances of the city of Boston and the Shurtleff case is simply this. We require a proclamation or a resolution proclaiming that the flag that is being requested by a citizen group to be flown has to be approved by the council and issued in the form of a proclamation. So in other words, when a citizen brings forward, just for example, let us say the pride flag, and they request it to be flown, there's an application process that they must go through. They must submit even a photograph of the flag so that there's no confusion about what their intention is to actually fly. And what they're doing is they're exercising their freedom of expression by coming to the council, coming to the town of Bridgewater, and asking permission for a limited time for a specific flag to be flown. When we as a council entertain that question, if we approve it, which we have done, and in fact we have done unanimously in each instance in the past, when we approve it, we are adopting that citizens' free speech as town speech. We're basically putting our approval on it as a council because we are authorized to do that. We are the sole voice of governance, if you will, in the town of Bridgewater. We have all of the legislative power in the town. So when we take a citizen's free speech, consider it, discuss it, vote it, if we do vote to approve it, we have, in fact, by proclaiming it as such, adopted it as town speech. Town speech is protected speech, just as is the freedom of speech that each one of you sitting in the gallery here tonight enjoy. So it's really not the case that we would be infringing upon individuals' rights to fly or to request that a flag be flown if we were to refuse that. But a refusal to do that is really failing to observe our rights as a town council, duly elected and having sworn our oath to act in the best interests of the town. If we adopt that as our own town speech, it is protected speech. That is the significant difference that makes the ordinance in Bridgewater to actually pass constitutional muster, whereas the practice, it wasn't an ordinance, but the practice of the city of Boston in years past failed to pass constitutional muster. So I just wanted to make that clarification known, and I invite anyone interested to read our town ordinance with respect to flag raisings. It's actually quite detailed, and in reading it, you would see that There are many exceptions as to flags that cannot be flown pursuant to that ordinance. Things like flags of other nations, because the Palestinian flag was mentioned, flags that relate to, political parties or political candidates or things of that. There's quite a bit of content in that ordinance that I think will help to inform you that when we consider a flag to be approved to be flown under our ordinance, it is in fact a case where we have seriously studied the application, and if we approve it, it means we have adopted it as town speech, and that's what we're here to do. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Jace. Mr. Lindy.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. Fred, I appreciate the distinction and your clarity in that. I heard a lot in this room tonight. I want to tell you that I'm wearing a pin right here that's No Place for Hate. Thank you to Robert Kraft. I am the great-grandchild of 2 Holocaust victims. My father rescued his uncle from his 9th camp that he was in. This is his wedding ring. The Palestinian flag was mentioned. I saw a Greek flag being burned because someone thought it was an Israeli flag. The distinction that Fred brought up is important. In Brockton, there are multiple flags, multiple flagpoles. They got in trouble once for raising a country flag, another country flag above the U.S. flag, which is absolutely not a good idea. I had spoken to Michael Dutton before he left about a second flagpole. I also spoke to Blythe Robinson about that. That could be a different solution, but I think maybe we could do a hall of flags around the non-existent fountain that we don't use anymore and put up a whole bunch of flags, okay? I don't think this all started with the POW MIA flag having not been flown in this town for I can't tell you how many years before it preceded me. And we were trying to come up with a solution that would please everybody. I think the other distinction that was said here tonight is by David Michael about flags that stand for love and optimism, inclusion, unity, and equality. To quote Rodney King, why can't we all just get along? I want to thank Susie Robinson for her service. We served on other capacity outside of government, and she's always been thoughtful, whether we agreed or disagreed, and I think she brought a lot to the table, and I wish you luck, and I hope your health will be better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindy. Mr. Murphy.
I just want to wish everybody happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all those veterans who served. I also wanted to thank our veterans agent and those who helped put yesterday's events together. It was an incredible day, incredible turnout, and a great program at Legion Field. So thank you to those volunteers who gave up the time and organized that. And thank you to Ms. Robinson. You'll surely be missed. Ms. Robinson was one of the first handshakes I had the night that I won the election. So thank you for everything you've done for the town, and thank you for everything you've done for me as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Ms. Ellenberg.
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Robinson, for your service. Thank you to our veterans for their service. I would specifically like to thank 2 veterans who are here in the room tonight who gave me a ride on the Veterans Day Parade because my foot was hurting. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, I would like to actually turn to, rather than this issue, what our town is facing in general. And we all know the vision to reality is hanging over our heads. And my feeling is that we need to build luxury housing, elderly housing, not shabby housing. What concerns me is that MBTA money seems to be drying up. BSU has given us money. They gave us $55,000 this year, which was split between 3 departments. I would like to see a substantial increase, tenfold increase, 500,000 or more towards our housing, which will be coming down the pike. Also, I would hope that what we have built will be beautiful and perhaps be built of brick. And why do I say brick? Brick lasts for hundreds of years. Look at the buildings at BSU, which are built of brick. Many of them precede the Civil War, or some of them precede the Civil War. Brick, although more expensive, will allow the town to have a quality appearance. The comment was made to me by a BSU official that when parents come to the town, they like to drive into a nice-looking town and not something that looks decrepit in the center, which is most unfortunate. So I think that I would direct our town manager to see that what transpires is excellence and quality for this town, and to assure that we have the necessary funding to achieve excellence. Thank you. Oh, actually, I have one more comment, and that is, I would like to thank a volunteer who has cleaned up the park behind the police station, a volunteer. And I know we've had discussions about volunteers before in this town, and I just want to say kudos to the fellow Mr. Godek, Kevin Godek, who cleaned up the park. And we hope to see more volunteers on the subcommittees and commissions and whatnot, and increase citizen participation in general. So kudos to Mr. Godek. That's all for now.
Thank you, Ms. Ellenberg. I will certainly close tonight again by thanking those that we appointed at the beginning of the meeting to the Veterans Council and Disability Commission. Again, thank you for stepping up and filling those positions. Obviously, we just had a great celebration here in Bridgewater for Veterans Day. So many people were involved. Obviously, a new veterans agent, Lisa Bazell Curley, who is here tonight, all the veterans that were there. Wonderful event. I love it every year when it just brings surrounding communities of West Bridgewater and East Bridgewater together. It's just, and we had a wonderful weather day. The parade was great. It's one of the biggest parades that we put on here in town. So it's something I look forward to every year. And again, as I mentioned in my little speech, it's just go out there and thank the veterans for everything they've done. Thank them for their service. Thank them for all that they've done for us. Again, as we talk about the flag situation, the only most important one is the red, white, and blue that stands behind us. So if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we're at today as a nation. But ultimately, I want to thank again all those that came together, put together a wonderful event, and next year it'll be in West Bridgewater. We'll get it back in a few years. Finally, I do want to say a parting goodbye to our own Susie Robinson. I've enjoyed all the time working with her as well, and subcommittees and here in the council as a whole. I was shocked to hear of her departure, and still trying to figure out what we're going to do to replace her. But I do want to thank you for your service. I wish you the best with your health, and if there's anything in the world that any of us could probably do to help you, we'll all be there for you. And I do hope to see you hopefully be able to participate with us again sometime in some form or fashion. But we have appreciated your service, just like any other council member that it's on the committee and has been on the committee in the past. So with that, I will ask to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second? Second by Ms. Robinson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.